question is to Pastor Mike. Shout out to the pastor. Is the traditional family dead or dying?
I think it's definitely dying. Yeah, and I think it. I think it leads. So if we go back to the balloon popping part, right? Like I think that's become more of the culture of dating, right? I'm not saying that's women, right? I'm just saying like that's dating, and I think the ideal, like we got the balloon popping show, right? You got Ebony K. Williams, right? You know, yeah. So you have all these things that's being presented as the family, even more so over, actual married couples, having families. So I definitely think the ideal is dying as a culture in the country, not even just black culture, just as happening in the white culture as well. But I do think that the men that are still desirable, like I think that the men that women still want, and I'm not speaking on behalf of women, I'm speaking on behalf of these men that don't have problems with women, which means that they have access to women. They're still traditional men. Like we are still like, no, I still want family, right? And I still want to raise my family in this way, and I still want to have my home run in this manner, right? And that's not, a monolith. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of like the baseline. Like, I want to be married. I want children with my wife. Those men still exist. What we're not hearing from is the women that are still saying, I want to be married. I want to have all my kids with my husband. I want to wait to have kids with my husband. And I want to raise them under one roof. Like, we hear it more from the male side than we hear it from the female side. And Mandy just used that terminology, so don't y'all get on me in the comments. But we hear more men saying they want the traditionalism than what we hear women. So is it dying? Yes, because women are going to be where culture come from. Women teach culture to the children. Men's job is kind of to provide that provision, and then once a child reaches an age to start providing guidance, right? But like when you talk about culture, like that's your mom. Like mom is the one that is keeping you up on birthdays, keeping you up on, hey, make sure you call your grandmother, make sure you call your grandfather. Like mothers are the ones that are providing culture, getting the kids together to have the cousins and all those things. So when women stop doing that, yes, you're going to start losing the culture. And the only thing that kind of like revitalize that is when the men that are more traditional start back finding women that are like that.
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's dead. I just knew it was such a change. We said it last week, right? The generation before mine, your generation, since the end of time, beginning of time, like 2-parent households has been going down and going down and going down, right? And now it's not uncommon that you meet somebody and they have a kid. You can really be on the internet, meet somebody and never knew they had a kid. COVID showed me how many chicks is actually having kids. Like I was like, yo, wait, you a mom? Who would have known? I know a girl. I know a bride who in Dubai right now, getting pissed and shitted on, and her kid is definitely in the state. But that's what they going over there and doing, ain't they?
I go to Dubai to golf. All right.
We ain't talking about you. We talking about the dudes who bringing the girls over there. What they doing?
I don't know. They go jet skiing.
There you go. You can't even scream on the street, man. They doing that freak shit over there. But I say all that. Nah, in all seriousness, it's not uncommon now to meet somebody and they having kids, and it's not uncommon. People now aren't afraid of getting divorces, right? People are not
definitely not afraid of getting divorces.
People are not, even adoption, stuff like that. It's so many things that have changed that makes it different. I think the Ebony K. Williams thing is interesting as hell to me.
Do you think that's going to start a trend?
Well, I don't think so, because you have to have a certain salary. Now, within that community, maybe. But IVF, let's not make this weird. Most people that do IVF are married folks who can't have children. They need help. So it's a lot of that. I don't believe the trend of I want to be a single mom. I don't believe that is going to be a trend amongst the people, amongst a certain tax bracket. Let me just put it like that. I would be nice amongst the CD and F students. That's going, that might be their bag. I don't know.
What?
But everybody else.
I think marriage is going to become more elite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's just a certain class of people. But look, the whole marriage thing, right? Like when all that's not really what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about marriage, it's about that commitment between a man and a woman.
Everybody doing elopements, just to let y'all know.
Yeah.
Save you money.
Yeah, that's exactly what my next one's going to be, unless my wife is rich.
Oh, facts. 90K a month, man.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, I think that it shouldn't be elite. Like, it really has to be based around the commitment to one another, right? Like, I want to care for you, you want to care for me. But then it also has to be based around the children. I don't think marriage don't really seem to be about the kids anymore, right? No. Or even having kids, anymore. And I get it, right? Like, you want to be in love, you want this person to be exclusive to you, and I can agree with all that, right? But there's going to be outcomes that happen because you and I are together, and a lot of times that's children. And when I look at like the shape of our community right now, one of the things that I really see is there's a lack of male leadership in our community, right? There's a lack of masculinity. There's it's not hyper masculinity. It's not toxic, right? I've been clear. Masculinity is care, grace, and mercy. And there's a lack of that in our community. There's a lack of care in our community. There's a lack of grace in our community. There's a lack of mercy in our community, right? And that is because I think that there's a lack of fathers in the home, right? There's fathers. Somebody's making these babies. Yeah. They're not getting pregnant by themselves. They're not getting IVF, right? They're getting pregnant, right? But it's not by the best of men. And I think the best of men are kind of becoming hesitant, if not even resistant to the ideal of what's happening right now in this culture. And I don't think we understand what that looks like in the next 10 or 15 years. When you see what it looks like, it's going to be offensive. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
One thing I say before we go to the next subject, I run across a lot of women, being that I'm a photographer, who are showing up to their master's, their doctorate photo shoot. Single. If y'all want, I can start a bulletin board and put them on there. Y'all can start contacting them. But it's all serious. But the reason why I say that and being serious is because it's like, it's not uncommon to meet the intelligent, beautiful woman, black woman, who's, now 30, saying, hey, I'm ready to start looking for love. And it's like, they're realizing like, damn, the dating pool isn't. And I'm not here to say that, when you start in that process, you need to be finding a man there at 24. No, I'm not doing that.
I am. I'll go there. I mean, because
that's easy, but
it's harder. It's harder the older you get. It may be,
but let me put it like this. It might be hard to date, but at that time, you going through school. I remember what it was like trying to date through college. That shit is a distraction like hell. You can fail a class by being in a bad relationship.
You can fail out a semester just by chasing ass. So
exactly. So I'm not mad at the people who like, let me put this first and hoping and praying. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't mad at that. And then when it's your time, it's gonna be your time. That's all good. We all love to lie and sell and stuff.
You know what we don't do anymore?
What's that?
Like, we don't match make anymore. Like, that was a thing back in the day.
Is it because people feel responsible?
I don't know. I mean, it might be something to dive into. But matchmaking used to be a thing, right? Like, I have somebody for you. You gotta meet this person, right?
Yeah, like, we talking about the straight world. You can't do that with gay people. They get offended.
I don't know anything about that.
They will let you know. Do not, just because you know one other gay person don't mean that we gonna match.
But no.
They love telling us that.
But that was a real thing. Like, your homegirls be like, yo, I know somebody, you gotta meet her, she's your type. And it used to work. You'd be like, dang, my homegirls knew me. It used to work. You'd be like, okay, I like the parents used to matchmake. Aunts and uncles used to matchmake.
Nah, one chick at the church, I ain't gonna tell y'all who, man. Her mom hit up my mom and said, yo, is Gavin interested in bleep? Yeah. And I told my mom, if you don't throw your phone out the car right now.
But even if you don't like it, though, I think we got to bring matchmaking back. But we got to get back to the point where we hook people up.
Are you gonna be responsible? Because what if your boy is a freak ass nigga?
I mean, who ain't anymore? Who's not?
Drake is.
Hey, the porn numbers show that everybody is freak ass. All right, like, that's what the numbers.
I ain't watch a good. Probably because they didn't blocked it. I gotta get a VPN.
Y'all watch so much porn on Twitter that Elon mentioned it. He was just like, yes, porn is legal on, like, so I don't want to hear this like, oh man, like somebody's like, everybody is.
They are stripping it from Reddit though.
How long they been trying to strip Reddit from porn from Reddit?
You know what? It's one of my favorite rooms. Me and my wife talk about this because she know I be liking these rooms. You know, my wife tried to call me a freak ass boy yesterday. She was like, "Yo, you into your like Sister Soldier Zane era?" Because I be on Reddit reading all the freak shit and laughing. She's like, "Yo, you really into this?" And I was like, "Yo, you gotta leave me alone."
Hey, man, it sounds like a good story, man.
Like, yeah, but I be laughing because I'm on there, and one of my favorite, I guess a lot of dudes. Yeah, look, man. I was in one of them rooms where dudes were talking about like they stories with escorts, and they were just going in. And dudes was in there giving up too much information. I think niggas started getting locked up because they admitting to prostitution and like locations, so they shut the whole room down. I used to be in there crying. Y'all already know that I used to be in the escorts thread, and they shut that. They kicked me out, rather. I don't think they shut that one down, but I'm pretty sure because like now, you know, it's whatever.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn how to talk to AI.
Let's be real. Most people over 40 use ChatGPT like it's goop.
Look at me not being ready when the video ends. What up, gang? How y'all doing tonight? I'm gonna get better at this as time go along. So that was a video from last year where we were discussing what was the title? I don't know what pod that was. But basically we were discussing is the nuclear family gone, right? And funny enough, it's funny enough because today's pod that we recorded, we actually discussed traditional, I guess the ideal of trad wives or traditional wives. So we actually discussed that today. As a matter of fact, let me see if the pod downloaded so I can give you guys today's pod topics. Hey, welcome everybody that's here. I'm Pastor Mike Will from the Black Dads Club, one of the co-hosts. Let's see here. Yeah, hey, pod did get to see Gav. Gav is the best, man. Topic today: do men need sex? Do men really want traditional wives who serves a traditional role? Should you expect Halle Berry to cook and clean? So we discussed the David Justice clip and I think her name is Lily Rose clip about traditional wives. So today's pod, I would say today's pod is a good follow up to last week's pod. Very early, Gavin's mother calls into the pod. It's always a good time when our mothers call in. We then discuss the gender studies program that I guess an elementary school is offering. Then we went straight into David Justice and Halle Berry conversation. Crazy enough, when that dropped, you know, I felt just like everybody else, like, you know, Halle Berry cooking clean, that really doesn't match. So I was like, let me go and get the full context. And I went and listened to, it was All the Smoke. Matt Barnes was interviewing David Justice. Completely out of context, like the internet does. Gotta love the internet. There's no nuance on the internet. It's a good pod. We did discuss it. And then we discussed Lila Rose saying that men do not need sex. And Gavin put Pastor Mike is beside himself. So I might have went a little hard on that clip right there. And we can hop into it tonight. I don't know if y'all really want to discuss that tonight where like low key, I'll give you the gist of it. If a man is not getting sex at home, it is not cheating. That's the gist. All right. If you want to hear what I said, go to the 38-minute mark of the pod. But that roughly what I said is if a man is not receiving what he needs to be receiving at home with his wife or his girlfriend, then it is no longer cheating. Then we finish up with sports. But that was everything that we dropped today. Talent acquisition tip of the week. I got two real quick. Things. There's a lot of information that's going on right now about AI. The University of Maryland actually has a free self-paced course where you can get a certification in artificial intelligence. I'm guessing that they're basically going to give you the baseline of it, the basis of artificial intelligence, the different programs that are out there, ChatGPT, Claude, Azure. All these are different AI programs. I actually just signed up for the link myself to go through the self-paced course. I think they say it's about 25 hours worth of information. Hopefully I have this done by the time I go on vacation. If not, I'll complete it while I'm on vacation. Guys, the AI is not going away. The AI is the new social media, right? So to everybody that missed the DeepSeek, in the early 2000s and anything else that was a social media, AI is not going to also affect, right? A lot of industries will be affected by AI. I was reading something today that basically was saying that entry-level jobs are probably going to be the most affected. Low-key, I sort of see it, and I kind of hate it because there's no way to get experience if someone doesn't hire you for the first time. I don't like it. I'm trying to figure something out to help young black boys with as time go along, because that is going to be a problem, is that jobs are going to say, hey, if you got 3 years experience, right, which is not a lot, but we'll hire you into a really decent job. But how do you get 3 years of experience if nobody's hiring you? So learning about the AI is going to be a real thing, learning about these programs. So University of Maryland has a free program. Like I said, I signed up for it. And also Microsoft has a free certification as well for beginning. So I'm actually going to try to complete both of these in the next 60 to 90 days, just so I can know what the heck is going on with AI. Don't feel overwhelmed by it, but definitely you should be reading up on it. And these are cool things to put into your resume, because when it does become when it does become a bigger deal, companies are going to want to know that you can speak to it or know what's going on with it. So especially, and I know we're talking about people that are early career, but especially for a lot of us mature workers as well, right? Like if you're a mature worker, if you've been in the workforce for 20 years and you apply for a job, ageism isn't supposed to exist. I'm here to tell you that everybody looks at everything. So you want to make sure that you are the type of person that can speak to what's changing in the industries. AI is here to stay. All right. I'm not going to be an AI truther, but what I am telling you right now is that the University of Maryland has a certification program that's absolutely free, as well as Microsoft. Take these programs, get these little micro certifications, throw me a LinkedIn badge. But more than anything, we need to understand what AI tools are out there to help make our lives and jobs easier. Because if people are doing the work of one and a half, two people because they have a AI assistant, we want to be doing the same thing. Not just people that are early career, but all of us that are also mature in our careers as well. So University of Maryland, Microsoft, check out both. Hopefully by the end of the year, a lot of us have completed these courses and certifications for absolutely free, which is sometimes not the best thing, because when things are free, people tend to not do it. There's an old saying, people who pay attention. But let's pay attention on these courses as well. So tonight, what are we going to talk about tonight? For one, we nailed it last week with Shador, right? Did we nail it or did we nail it? I'll take credit for that. Did I nail it or did I nail it? And then we're going to talk about tonight. I got two clips that I want to play. So one of the things that we discussed today on the pod was, do men want traditional wives? And I think me and Gavin both pretty much decided that the ideal of the traditional wife, like the term itself, is a little bit of a misnomer. That word be kicking people ass on the internet too. Misnomer just means that what we're calling it and what it is are just two different things. Pretty sure my audience don't do this, but that word is killing folks when y'all see Pastor Mike Will everywhere on the internet. But he's hurt now. He's not hurt. They don't want people to say they want to see him play. He's not hurt. But one of the things that we discussed was the ideal of the traditional wife, the ideal of what is a traditional relationship. And I think even Gavin and I both kind of came to the place that everybody should do best for them, right? Like that's the most important thing. Cooking and cleaning, I think that's been very, very reductive, right? I don't think cooking and cleaning makes a woman a traditional wife, right? Because if she's cooking and cleaning, then she's mean, or she's not holding up her edge of the covenant, or she's holding up the covenant with somebody else, right? I don't think we'd say she's traditional, so, right? So I think that ideal of cooking and cleaning is very, very, very reductive. But one of the things that I will say that what men are not doing that we should be doing, well, y'all know I always say we're not strict enough, right? But I think one of the things that we could do a better job is understanding how marriage fits into our life. right? Like, marriage has to become a tool for you, right? It can't be, I don't want to live the rest of my life without this woman, right? It can't be, I don't want nobody else to have sex with this woman, right? It has to be along the lines of, how does this woman fit into my life positively, right? How do I fit into this woman's life positively? What are the value adds that I give to her? What are the value adds that she gives to me, right? And I think if we think of trad wife in that sense, like a traditional wife in the sense of, hey, there's a value that's being added right now, right? There's a value that she's giving me right now. I think if we think of traditional wives in that sense, we'd have a lot better success at marriage. Now, with that being said, I don't think we're really approaching marriage like that. I think as a community, we've really approached marriage in the sense of absolute necessity, right? I need a roommate. We got kids. I got to marry her, right? Or it's been in the sense of, I don't want anybody else to have this person. I want them. And correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody thinks that, we're choosing marriage for any other reason, right? Necessity, right? I got her pregnant, or just absolute lust, right? I don't want anybody else to have them. Then I think we're always going to miss the mark on what a traditional wife looks like, or a traditional husband looks like. Again, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. Wait, what's up, Gav? Welcome to the room. But I say that because I'm gonna play two different clips tonight. You know what? I'm gonna start with the Big Homies House podcast, because that one I'm actually getting my ass ate up on a comment. And one of the things, this is one of the things that I hate. I typically only comment on male-dominated podcasts with male hosts if a male guest says something that I don't like. And the reason for that is typically I go a lot harder on the guys than I do on the women. Now, you can call me whatever you want for that. But the thing is, like, I don't really like arguing with ladies on the internet. I really, really don't. I just don't think it ever looks good. I don't think it's ever a conversation that you can say, well, you're an idiot, you're a moron. It just doesn't play well. All right. But let me see if I can play this real quick here. Where is it at? All right. Hey, look at the wind blew in. All elite.
Generation of
all right, here we go.
I mean, people are leaning away from traditional marriage.
I think most of marriage in prior years was successful because women didn't have as many options as they have now, right? The society was designed, there's a stat, I believe women couldn't get their own credit cards until like the early 80s.
Yeah.
Couldn't get their own bank account until the 60s. You couldn't, the scar of divorce, she couldn't get a job. So 40, 50, 60 years ago, you go back to the Bible days, women were treated like property.
Yeah,
marriage,
subhuman.
You take my daughter, give me 10 goats. Like, and she's for children to help you. Literally, 10 goats. And I need you to have these kids so we can work this farm. Right? So, I think as time has progressed, women have been able to go to college, get educated. Black women are the most educated people in the United States.
They are.
They're able to get paid, right? And now you just being a man ain't enough to be a married.
And men ain't adjusted.
And men have not had to adjust. And you see people argue online, that's what's wrong with women today. You gonna end up with cats. That's a mortician, right? There's a girl in death. This whole conversation happened on Twitter, and somebody in the death care industry was like, by and large, women don't be found after 2-3 weeks dead. Like, women got communities, whether they're married or not. Their friends come check on you. Their kids come check on you. The people who end up dead for 2-3 weeks, that's men. So men tend to project what they think will happen to women, which is actually going to happen to them.
Why do you feel like in this current generation of
All right, so these are two brothers talking, right? Two black men talking, and they're discussing black men, right? Like why black men marriage is failing because women. This is their words, right? Women don't need men anymore, right? I'm not mad at that statement, right? I'm not. Now, stats numbers are going to show you that marriage rates for black men and black women are falling because black men typically marry black women. But the second part of that is, I believe there's like 1 million more black men married than black women, despite being about 3 million less. So there is a struggle that's going on when it comes to marriage, right? But there's a little less of a struggle when it comes to guys. Now, this is the comment that I posted here, right? I'm going to read this comment to you. I was like, a couple of facts. Black men were not the reason that women could not have things. So remember, he started the conversation off, women had to be with men because it was things that they couldn't have, right? So the insinuation is, only through men can women have these things, right? So someone is keeping these things from men. The inference here is black men, right? Because these are black men discussing why women aren't getting married, right? So they're discussing black women. And I hate when we do this because this was not a group project. Oppression in this country wasn't a group project. It wasn't black men wasn't sitting around saying, you know what? Let us figure out how we can oppress women. That didn't happen. So I'm never going to take credit for all the things that women couldn't have, right? And I'm not going to let my grandfather take credit for it, right? Black men, even today, are the most progressive voting bloc on the planet, right? But I'm gonna stay away from that point right there, right? Because what we're discussing is, women aren't getting married because they don't find the value in the men, right? So if women don't find the value in the men, let's go to the first part. Google most educated demographic, right? And I keep saying this, and one of the reasons why I kind of want sisters to stop saying it isn't because I'm saying that black men are more educated than black women. No, that's not true. Matter of fact, in every demographic, the women are more educated than the men, right? Asian women are more educated than Asian men. White women are more educated than white men. Black women are more educated than black men. Now, believe it or not, that was not always the case. That actually really changed in 2006, I want to say. Up until that point, more black men were going and graduating college than black women. But one of the things that I'm not really understanding here, right, is that we keep seeing this narrative, right? Black women are the most educated. Black women are the most educated. And if you just simply put in most educated demographic by sex. All right, let's do race and gender. Most educated demographic in America. All right. This is why. Is that going to come in? All right. We're going to let AI answer the question. All right. Because this is really, really fucking with y'all, right? All right. Not fucking with my audience, but just in general. Like I keep hearing this over and over and over again, right? All right, this says, this is going to be an AI overview. In the United States, black women are often cited as the most educated demographic by race and gender. They have consistently earned a higher percentage of degrees at all levels compared to their male counterparts within the black community, right? And also outpace many other racial and gender groups, right? What this is saying is black women are earning degrees at a much higher rate than black men in comparison to how white women earn college degrees in comparison to white men, etc., etc. Okay? Any place that you look that gives you degrees that are conferred, okay? It's going to be the National Education Center right here. This is through 2022, right? And I'm only showing this because I want to show that I'm not being a dick, okay? Let me see if I can get this chart up for you. All right. This is going to be degrees in total numbers. All right. And in percentages. All right. Right here in the middle, we have black. This is going to be all black people. All right. All black people associate degrees, 12%. 10% male, 13.6% female. All right. Bachelor degrees, which is going to be what the vast majority of us have, right? That's going to be 1.9 million was conferred. 8.8 went to black men. 11.5% went to black women, right? Now, none of these numbers are going to be the bulk numbers, right? If you go to white, right, these are the degrees by white males and white females. Bachelor degrees, 58.8% of all white people have a college degree, okay? This is conferred in 2 years, right? For black people, it was 10.4%. For white people, it's 58.8%, all right? Male, female, right? Now, there's more white men that got bachelor degrees in those 2 years than white women, all right? Whereas in our community, there was more black women that had college degrees than black males, right? But do you see these numbers right here, right? If we add 61 plus 16, that would be 76. Plus 9, that's going to be 84. Plus 10, that'll be 94. 2 or more races, that'll be 98. And round it off right here, American Indian 0.4, so that's like 99%, right? That is the total percentage. That's out of the 100% of degrees. These are the degrees that were given out. All right. If you look at the disparity between male and female, right, 8.8 to 11.5, you can divide that. It'll give you a percentage. Hispanic, if you divide 15.6 by 17.9, it'll give you a percentage. And if you look at the white, if you divide 61 by 57.3, it'll give you a percentage in the opposite direction, plus or minus for the males. All right. I'm not being an asshole when I say I need my sisters to stop saying this. And the reason why is because these women right here, when they hear you say that and they know that this number right here exists, and these women right here, when they hear you say that and they know that this number exists, they are low-key clowning and talking noise, and they're talking shit about you. All right? Fix that. Right? Again, this is not me being a dick. This is not me being an asshole. It's something that you guys keep saying that with just a simple Google search, you will figure out what they're really trying to say here. All right? Next thing is, all right, the reason why I go on about that is because when you keep implying that black men are not educated, right, and you find educated black men, it's causing a schism, because what is happening is there's a talking down that's going on the men. All right. The problem that I have with what he said here, right, and I'll finish what I wrote here, right? Not to argue, but I want to put some respect on black men's name when juxtaposing us against men good, men bad, women good, pandering. And I did say that about Kel, because he is pandering, because he's not giving out correct information. He's giving out anecdotal information, right? I'm leaving out the fatherhood stats, joy in fatherhood, egalitarian. All right. Black men have a lot to be proud of, and there's a lot that are being told that it's not enough. I am simply pointing out that a lot of information that's coming from men, right? You think you can trust this information, and about men, and look, I'm not going to go into whether or not black men are dying alone. Like even the whole loneliness epidemic, that study began in South Korea because they have a real problem in South Korea, and it might have included Japan in it, but it's an Asiatic study. And even in that, when NPR actually did a pod on this probably about 4 months ago, and they were talking about the male loneliness epidemic, and it's basically 15% of all men. Right, it wasn't broken down by race, so I can't tell you what black men's percentage was. But they did something that they typically do not do on liberal shows and liberal radio, and well, conservative either. But I've noticed definitely liberal shows. Right, they said, hey, well, what's the number on the women loneliness epidemic? Right, so men was at 15%. Right, What do you think women was? Right? Since we talk about men are lonely, obviously we would be saying women are not lonely, right? Men was 16%. My bad. Men was 16%. All right. What was women? It was 15%. It was 1 percentage point difference. The same amount of men that was lonely, basically the same amount of women that was lonely. No, it was 1% off, right? And if you look at total numbers, because there's more women in this country than men, that means that in total numbers, it would actually be more women in total numbers, not by percentage, but in total numbers, it would actually be more women than men, right? But this has been labeled as the male loneliness epidemic, which is a thing, right? People are more disconnected now, but that's not a new thing. If you ever go to New York City, that city has people everywhere, and I'll be honest, you can walk in that city for 3 days and nobody speak to you, right? Like that's what it means to be lonely, right? You're not interacting with anybody. You could be in the most busiest city in the world and nobody's interacting with you. But one of the things the reason why I'm just mentioning all of that is, as brothers, man, like the information is out there, right? Learn how to ask the right question. If you know, one of the things I remember when freshman year of college, right? We had to write a lot of papers. I don't even think these kids write papers no more because of AI, right? We had to write a lot of papers, right? And one of the things that the professor would be like, yo, do not reiterate anything that I taught in this class, right? Ask a question and then find me the answer to that question. And one of the things that I see a lot of people do not do is on the internet, right? If it's just an opportunity to kick a black man's back in, we just go straight to, you know what? I just want to do that. I just want to do that. I just want to kick a black man's back in. I don't really want to get the accurate information, because the accurate information is out there. And I do not like that a married black man, a married successful black man, someone that I supported from the beginning, right? Beginning of his career, right? When he first started coming out, I don't like when that guy sits there and says, you know what? Y'all gonna die alone because y'all don't know how to treat women. Especially when you had a woman that trusted you and believed in your dream and went along with it and struggled with you and took care of you when y'all was down. And then now for you to just simply say, yeah, y'all not good enough. Hey man, the call is coming from inside of the house. The enemies are inside of the camp. All right, let's hit this next video off.
Relationships is you cannot be too explicit with the transaction, because then it will feel like prostitution, and no one wants to feel that way, man or woman, and it offends the dignity of the individuals involved. And so we cover it with a lot of bullshit. The core of relationships is getting your needs met from another person. If you don't give people more of what they want or need, they will be dissatisfied. If you give people more of what they want and need, you will be able to dispense with a lot of the bullshit that society tells you relationships are actually about. In the same way that paying people more allows companies to dispense with the bullshit around how companies are supposed to be. Most people that I know would rather take a high-paying job and have fewer of these other fluffy things around it than vice versa. By the same token, most people are going to be satisfied if they get their needs and desires met in a relationship. If you want a satisfying relationship, meet the needs and wants of your partner.
How would you say that in a simpler way?
If you want more, you have to be prepared to give more.
And the problem is?
People want a lot of things.
And they don't have a lot to offer.
You said it.
You said it. You're the one that said it. I didn't say it.
You said the last part. It is true that the more that you want, the more you have to be prepared to give. And that's fair. One of the rules about relationships is you cannot be too explicit with it.
All right, so this is the Diary of the CEO, one of the top pods, one of the top YouTube channels in the world, actually. And this is Sci Hacks, that if you want to find us on Instagram. Pretty good follow. Now, he says something here. His real name is Dr. Orion Tarabian. He says something here that's really, really important that I think we miss in relationships a lot, is if you want a lot, you have to be able to give a lot. All right. And I think most of the time when we discuss it, we kind of do it in reverse, right? Like we try to do everything, right? We try to offer everything, right? Like everything that our woman wants, we try to give it to her, right? And then there's a dissatisfaction there. And the dissatisfaction comes from the fact is if you're offering everything and you're not receiving anything in return, you're going to run out of energy. You're going to run out of the ability to do so, right? But it's two things that I want us to take away from this, right? The first part is, right, you can't make it too transactional. And I think that's become a huge problem in our society is that, excuse me, everything we see on Instagram, everything we see on Twitter is 100% okay with being transactional, right? We have a term for it on the podcast. We literally call it diet sex work, right? We call it diet sex work. Right? Because everything is so transactional, right? If you give me this, then I will give you this, right? And even in logic reasoning, an if-then statement is almost like an automatic logic fail, right? Because things can happen without the if, right? And the if can happen without then. But anytime you link that if-then together, it's almost an automatic logic fail. And one of the things he says is like, yo, in the beginning, you can't be too implicit with the transaction, right? We see it all the time. A guy flies a woman out, and then we get the complaint of, oh, you thought you was gonna get some ass, right? You thought you were gonna have sex, right? So much so that we see people getting prosecuted for flying somebody out and actually being with them, right? But it's because you've made it too transactional. So it's two things that we need to understand here. One is the gamification, right? A lot of us need to learn game theory, even when it comes to courting. You know what I'm saying? How to be interested in a woman and how to make sure a woman is interested in you. So it's not human. But the second part of that is elevating ourselves to become the type men that we want to be. So whereas that demand doesn't feel unfair, right? And I think that's the problem with a lot of men is that you have built yourself up to become someone, right? You've become everything that you was told to become. You are a nice guy, right? You're not a philanderer. You're not an abuser. You're not a narcissist. You know, you are a gentleman. Not in the sense that I really want my brothers to be gentlemen, but you know, for the sake of this argument, right? You're softer, right? And you're not really receiving what you need back. And one of the things is because the reason why I played that first video with Kev, right, is because it's like, yo, y'all men aren't good enough. And the truth of the matter is, most men today are way better than their grandpa. They make way more money than their grandpa. They take care of the kids way better than their grandpa. They cut grass way more than their grandpa. They have a way bigger house than their grandpa. But you're told in this environment, yo, you're not really enough. And the reason why you're told that is because if you really understand just how much you're offering, the demand goes up, right? What your expectation goes up. And that is the quickest way to realize, like, God damn, I don't know if I know what I deserve and I don't receive what I deserve. That's a quick way to be like, dang man, I don't really need to be here. I don't really need to be involved in this. Way more, do way more, cut more grass. Yeah, men do way more. Men do. It's not even close. It's not even close. University of Michigan did a study back, I think it was like 2006. And it was showing that the amount of housework that men have went from like 6 hours in the 70s. No. It was low. It was like 3-4 hours in the 70s to in the early 2000s. Men was doing basically about 35 minutes a day less than women, right? So it's like men was doing like 15 hours a week and women were doing, I want to say like 19 hours a week, you know, when it came to housework, right? Which is a big deal when both of y'all are working and y'all come home and you're sitting in your butt for 35, 45 minutes, right? And she's comes in the house and she's just, you know, she's on 10 from the time she walks in, right? It's real easy to see like, okay, I can understand how she's getting irritated, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's really not doing more work, right? Not only she's not doing more work, right? But the idea that you're not qualified or more qualified than her pappy or her grandpappy, right, is also unsubstantiated. You are doing more. You're kicking ass. Like you crushing it. So those are the only two clips I have tonight, man. I mean, the second one with side hacks, I did want us to understand that you do have to provide an incentive, right? You do need to be interested and interesting. Like if you want to date in this environment, you do need to be interested and interesting, 100%, right? But you also need to understand that you're not beneath anybody. You're not coming in second place to anybody, especially men that have multiple streams of income, men that are running their own businesses that are successful, men that are educated and working in higher income earning fields. All things are not equal when it comes to you as a man, right? You've taken on a high level, and you're doing way more than your grandpa and your papa ever did, right? So if anybody comes to you, if a Kev on stage goes on a Big Homie podcast and he's saying, the reason why marriage rates are dropping is because men just aren't good enough, right? That's bullshit. You're better. You're way better. It's not even close, right? So don't accept that. Don't listen to it. Don't be like, man, what more can I do? You're doing more than enough, bro. You're doing way more than enough, right? And here's the thing: always push yourself to be better. Always do more. But once you do more, make sure that demand becomes higher too, right? This is not when the output is higher, the input also goes up, right? And when you take more calories in, you better take more calories out, right? If you get a high output, you know what I'm saying? You hit the gas on a Lamborghini, gas tank gonna start dropping on it. Why? Because that output gonna require more input. So if you do feel like, yo, all right, I'm good, but I want to become great, yo, that input that you got to receive on the back end from whoever you dating, whoever you married to, yeah, that has to also be great. And if it is not great, they are breaking their covenant. You're more than enough. You're crushing it. You're crushing it. And yeah, and low key, I was triggered this morning because I'm sick of black men undermining, demeaning, flustering other black men just because they are in a state of, I wouldn't even say achievement, right? They're in a state of temporary peace because there really no peace ever for a high achieving man. You will find respite, but that's just not how your mind works. You always want to go achieve more. You always want to take care of more, right? If you were a watchman or a guard dog, you're a watchman or a guard dog your whole life, even when you're old. It's until the end. So if you're a high achieving man, you're gonna be a high achieving man to the end. But what you don't have to do is listen to dudes that have made it through grace, through mercy, through luck, through hard work, through opportunity, and then get there and just say, yeah, y'all guys can't do what I do. Yeah, fuck you. All right, I'm about to get pissed off. That's all I got tonight, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the talk, man. Go listen to today's pod. Please don't forget to come hang out on Friday night. Gonna love to hang out with you guys. See you guys. Appreciate y'all coming hang out on Wednesday nights, man, where I could be a little bit more stoic, versus on the pod. It's a little bit more upbeat. So I appreciate y'all struggling through it on Wednesday nights. And that's all I got, man. Hey, if no one has anything else to say, man, hey, holla at your boy.